Hi, today I will be presenting our approach for the DataFest 2022 competition. So, a quick introduction. We initially looked at the data. We saw that of all the columns we were given, the primary attribute that we could use to conclude whether or not there had been any improvement in a student after their participation in the trial was the report from the Self-Efficacy for Drug Use Resistancy Survey. The scores are shown here on the right. Looking at the data, we noticed that a lot of students had the same score throughout the entire period. So we wanted to subset the data into two groups, those students who did improve over the trial period and those students who didn't. Once we had that, we looked at the log data. And after going through the data and playing the games ourselves, we realized that a proxy for students' active participation and actual focus was not so much in the individual choices and variables themselves, but in the time it took for the students to complete different challenges and how that time per challenge changed across different sessions. So we used the event time double column as shown above to calculate the average time per challenge per session per student. So every student had between 1 to 16 session scores and the average time it took for them to complete the challenges in that session. So we plotted this and we got the graph that follows, and we saw that the session axis here was extremely messy and needed some further cleaning. So we saw the same problem occurred in both subset students who improved and those who didn't improve on their drug resistancy survey scores. So we looked at the session columns and we saw there was some misreporting, and there were 37 variations of sessions 1 to 16 and how they were labeled. So we proceeded with some data cleaning where we were able to convert these session labels into the following list, integers from 1 to 16. The graph looks as follows, when we look at the graph that we were able to create with the clean data, we saw some patterns that popped out even more prolifically than before. So again, here's a comparison to our previous pre-cleaned graph where the session labels are still messy. When we subset the data into non-improved and improved students, there were two big findings. First, we noticed that the average area under the curve, which can be interpreted as the cumulative amount of time it took students to take challenges, that time was larger for students who did not show any improvement versus those who did. And additionally, when we looked at some possible regressors for this data, we noticed that there was a more steeply negative slope for the students who improved, meaning that students whose times got quicker tended to do better and improve their scores in the drug resistancy survey. So we went back into the data and we categorized our students into 4 quartiles. Students Q1 being the students who took the longest time to complete challenges, and Q4 being the students who took the shortest amount of time. And using these two categorical variables, improvement versus speed, we conducted a chi-square test where at a 95% confidence level, we were able to reject the null hypothesis and conclude that these two variables were not independent. And in fact, there was correlation between the speed at which students were able to complete these challenges and improvement in the scores. So to summarize, students who actively participated in the game provided through the Play to Prevent platform, we did notice that they oftentimes their drug resistancy survey scores improved. This implies that students who actively participated and actually went through the game with focus appear to receive benefits from the program. Thank you for your time.